Hey ladies and gentlemen, this is HD StarCraft, and I'm here to bring you guys another Heart of the Swarm StarCraft 2 broadcast. And today it's a real treat because we're going to be watching a pro game. It is going to be the blue Protoss player down here, known infamously around nerd households in the world. His name is of course WhiteRa, and he is spawning in the bottom left hand corner. Now, over across the map, Star Station, which is a very big map, just kind of going to drag over here and show you guys how long it is. It is the Red Terran player over at the top right. His name is LgN.Avilo, and he is an American-born Terran, North American, and he is going to be playing, I think he's on Team LgN right now, but he is going to be the Red Terran up here at the top right. Now, this is going to be a Protoss versus Terran in Heart of the Swarm, and this is the latest patch, patch 5 to StarCraft 2 HOTS. And this is going to be pretty relevant because we're going to see how the Widow Mines are going to be incorporated in Terran play. It's almost a known fact now. In almost every Terran game that you see, as of today, in HOTS, you will see Widow Mines being used. They're such a good unit, and the way I kind of describe the Widow Mine best, it's kind of like a burrowing Reaver that doesn't shoot quite as fast as the Scarabs do, but every 40 seconds it does have a Scarab-like ability, and it does a ton of damage. Now let's just talk about the map a little bit. This is Star Station, of course, very big map, expansions in all 4 corners, and of course it is a 4-player spawn, so Avilo will have to check the top left first, and then he'll eventually make his way down to the bottom. Now this is WhiteRa, and of course he's got his own special verbiage attached to his playstyle, and that is, of course, Special Tactics. And WhiteRa is capable, the reason why he's called Special Tactics WhiteRa is he's capable of innovating and engineering some of the craziest strategies that you'll see in StarCraft 2. Remember, in Wings of Liberty, he was one of the most innovative players out there. And I'm very interested to see how he's going to make use of the new HOTS abilities available to him. I think in patch 5, the only real big change that Protoss got was the Oracle and the ability to Void Siphon a structure. That, of course, allows Protoss to get a little bit of damage done as well as mine a little bit of minerals. I feel like the ability hasn't really found its place yet, and that's why I'm interested to see what WhiteRa does. Now, interesting, he is going to throw a Forge up after going for the Nexus first. And of course there's a gateway in between that, but the Forge, I actually think the reason for this is because WhiteRa wants to shut down any potential Widow Mine play. And you can see that Avilo is going for a factory right now, and this is pretty standard now. You will see almost every Terran go barracks, factory, reactor the barracks, and then swap the factory onto the reactor core. The reason being is you want to double pump out Widow Mines onto the field, and if Widow Mines can sneak into the natural and burrow into your mineral field, it is almost game over. There's no way to actually stop that. And because of that, WhiteRa is throwing up a cannon, and because of the cannon and Forge opening, Avilo feels like he can throw up a bunker. This is just next level stuff right now. This is just showing how Heart of the Swarm has evolved the pro level style of playing StarCraft 2, and the only reason why Avilo can get a bunker up here is because the Protoss is forced to get a Forge and a cannon, thereby delaying the Stalker, and actually delays the whole Zealot Stalker thing, and without a Stalker on the field, you cannot shut down a bunker. And so Avilo is going to get this bunker up just outside the range of that Photon Cannon, and he's going to be able to dish out some damage against the Forge and the Gateway. Very innovative play right now from Avilo, who is going to go for a starport as well. We'll probably be seeing some medevacs coming out very quickly. He most likely to use to drop the Widow Mines into the main base of WhiteRa. Now the Mothership Core is out, and WhiteRa can use the Mothership Core along with the Zealot and the Chrono Boosted Stalker to try to take out this bunker. He certainly doesn't want to lose the Gateway. And here we go, the Mothership Core, the Zealot, and the Stalker beginning to dish out some damage against this bunker. The SCV's trying to hop outside and inside to stay away from the damage. The Zealot almost goes down but gets pulled away at the last second. Avilo hopping the SCVs outside and repairing the bunker and then bringing them back in when they take damage, and now he's using the SCV to repair the SCV taking damage. Avilo is just playing this out so well, and just really utilizing a strategy that you would typically not see against Protoss, but it works because of the Widow Mine, and it forces Protoss to get the Forge and Cannon up. So now, of course, you can just bunker that up, and you don't have to worry about getting that bunker killed in the early game. Avilo going to follow this up with the natural expansion as well. The Widow Mines are now out on the field. WhiteRa knows about the Widow Mines. Mothership Core being used to pick off the Marines that are coming out, and that's very smart. WhiteRa doesn't want to let this bunker get loaded up with Marines. He wants to prevent as many Marines as possible, and there's already 2 inside, but that is a number that he can manage with. Now, it does look like the medevac is coming out, but the probe comes in, and we'll see if WhiteRa decides to try to throw a pylon maybe or something. It does look like the Widow Mines are going to try to burrow and pick it off, and WhiteRa, I think, just scouting for now. No, he's going to throw up a pylon! Wow, WhiteRa is really getting creative right now, but of course the Widow Mines are fairly close, and that Widow Mine just going to get in range, and that probe is going to die. Doubtful that WhiteRa will try to warp anything out of that pylon because, of course, he knows that there are Widow Mines burrowed around the area where he can warp units in. Meanwhile, the bunker about to take down this gateway. WhiteRa has to make his move right now. He's coming out with the Stalkers. Gonna pick off one of the repairing SCVs. The other SCV goes inside the bunker at the very last second. Very nice micro by Avilo, and Avilo popping that SCV outside, kills off the gateway, and now he might even kill off a Stalker as well. Avilo is just doing all sorts of nasty things, and WhiteRa is gonna come in with the Mothership Core. He's gonna try to harass the probe line. It seems like he might be able to get a couple of SCV kills with this. And it seems so far in Heart of the Swarm, all of these aggressive new units really making for an innovative playstyle in Terran versus Protoss. You typically don't see so much aggression in early game of TVP. That medevac is coming out in the meantime, and it does look like the Mothership Core now. Oh, it will go down to the Widow Mine, and look at that, the Widow Mine doing splash damage to the SCVs. But of course, because a Widow Mine only does 40, it actually is quite convenient that the SCV is the only worker with more than 40 HP. And so now it does look like the medevac is going to pull away on the left-hand side. Doesn't want to deal with the Stalkers that are coming out, but I don't think WhiteRa realizes that there is a Widow Mine burrowed there, and one of these Stalkers is going to go down. WhiteRa will not be able to maintain control over that Xel'Naga tower. Pylon's still located over here at the mineral field. WhiteRa could actually drop a Zealot and bomb the workers here if he just warps a Zealot right here. That Widow Mine will end up doing a lot of damage to these SCVs. And we'll see if WhiteRa decides to be aggressive like that, or if he's going to let this pylon go down before. WhiteRa actually double expanding right now. This is insane. WhiteRa going for a lot of expansions, going to try to... I don't even know if anybody really took that much early game damage. It seems pretty close, but WhiteRa feels pretty aggressive, I guess, right now, and he wants to try to double expand to just get as many probes out as possible. That, of course, does mean that he is vulnerable to some early game aggression, but then again, you realize that Avilo is going for mech, and mech is typically not the best at early game aggression. Of course, the Widow Mine so far has done a good job, but it's very hard to punch through now that there's a photon cannon. So I actually kind of like where WhiteRa is going with this. And Avilo, in the meantime, is taking control over the middle of Star Station and implanting his Widow Mines at key locations where he can pick off any scouting units. Missile turret coming up as well to potentially pick off any Dark Templar play. Back at home, we do have a lot of factories coming out for Avilo, along with another CC. And I'm looking at the income tab right now, and WhiteRa has shot far, far ahead in terms of harvesters. 67 over 44. But of course, his army supply not really that high at all. Basically, he's got no army, and a very risky spot right now for WhiteRa, who is going to come in with this Warp Prism and a Mothership Core. And of course, this is in range of the sensor tower. You guys can see on the minimap that white circular outline indicating and denoting that Avilo knows about the impending attack. Gonna throw up a missile turret. Is there a Widow Mine inside the mineral field? No, there is not. Stalkers are now gonna begin to come out. It doesn't look like the Mothership Core wants to die a second time. And now the Widow Mines are gonna burrow down. Those Stalkers have got to get out of there. The Warp Prism is gonna take some damage, but nothing too serious as it flies out without going down. 160 damage, remember, from each Widow Mine, and the Warp Prism outfitted with 100 HP and 100 shields. Meanwhile, a medevac coming out from Avilo, returning the drop favor, has 3 Hellions and a Widow Mine, and the Widow Mine now burrowed inside the mineral field. If WhiteRa is not paying attention, that Widow Mine could end up doing a lot of damage to his probes. However, he does have photon cannons warping in, and the cannon should be able to see the mines, and Avilo just trying to dish out as much damage as he possibly can. So far, taking the Harvester kill lead, and it does look like the Widow Mine is going to go down. An extremely aggressive game here from WhiteRa and Avilo, and I've got to say, I love the direction that that HOTS so far has forced, I guess is the right word to say, the pro players into, because you typically in PvT do not see this much aggression. It's more of a 2-base build-up into 3 bases, and then eventually you see big balls attacking each other. But now you're seeing a lot of skirmish type battles, and oh, that mothership core is going to go down a second time. Is unable to kill off the missile turret. Not too sure why WhiteRa left the mothership core there. He must have forgotten about it. And his absent-mindedness there is going to end up costing him, because those mothership cores are somewhat expensive at 100 apiece. One interesting thing to note here is I've been playing a lot of HOTS in the recent patch, and I've actually discovered that the way the Widow Mine works is even if you've got a huge minefield of them in the middle, and the enemy units, when they come out across the minefield, the mines can only detonate one at a time. They cannot go all at once. So that is a built-in game mechanic that seems to limit the Widow Mine somewhat. And that is one interesting thing that you have to know. We do have Protoss air weapons on the way from WhiteRa. Interesting. Is he planning to make a switch into Tempests or potentially Carriers? And remember, Tempests or Carriers or even Void Rays could be a great unit to stop mech play. In general, when Terran players go mech, they really have no way to stop mass air from Protoss. Yeah, you can go Thors, but it's very hard to make that work, obviously, because of Void Rays. Now, there is the Widow Mine, and the Widow Mine is outfitted with a surface-to-air attack. But that's where the Tempest comes in. The Tempest has a very long range, whereas the Widow Mine has a very short range. So that's one important thing to note. And look at this! WhiteRa actually bringing in a Zealot Bomb into the mineral field, and I see what he was doing there. That is so clever. He was hoping to drag some of the Widow Mines into the SCV line, and that's very reminiscent of old-style Brood War play. Typically, you would see shuttle bombs with Protoss players like Bisu trying to bomb the entire tank line of Boxer with by using the spider mines against the tanks. In this fashion, we can see that WhiteRa is trying to use the enemy Widow Mines to detonate the mineral field, and now Avilo, I think privy to that, is now going to spread the Widow Mines away from the SCVs. A very smart decision indeed. One thing to note, though, is WhiteRa is still expanding like crazy. Somebody's got to inform WhiteRa that he is not a Zerg player, but so far he's making it work at 92 workers and blinks the Stalkers out just in the nick of time, so he does not take damage from the tanks. Tempests are on the way right now, as WhiteRa is going to get the newest available capital airship for Protoss, and that I still feel is going to be a great way to stop the tanks and mines. And Avilo has no idea that these Tempests are coming, but he is going to push out across the field with all of these tanks retrofitted with +1 weapons. And so far, WhiteRa at 2-2-2-1-2, in fact. So WhiteRa actually has a significant upgrade advantage, and he is not going to try to fight up against the tanks and mines. And that's actually a very good idea. You know, WhiteRa, he might have better economy. Oh, he takes some damage there. He might have a better economy, but when you're fighting against tanks and mines, that's a lot of splash damage, and WhiteRa doesn't want to deal with that. I think what he's doing right now is trying to buy time to get the Tempest out on the field, and so he's circumvented the entire Terran army and is going to go for a backstab into the Terran bases. And we'll see what kind of damage he can do here. And of course, this exploits the immobility of tanks and Widow Mines. Of course, Blinkstalkers, even Zealots are much faster than that. And now he's just doing a ton of damage, just getting up in here, trying to wreck as many SCVs as possible. Has killed 18 already. And as long as he stays away from the tanks and siege mode, he should be okay. The SCVs are going to try to come out and cut off the Stalkers, but we're unable to do so. And WhiteRa comes in and dishes out a lot of damage, killing off a total of 24 workers. He's got to be careful about these mines that are just intermittently laid across the map of Star Station, though. But I think overall that was a pretty good play and bought him crucial time to get the air that he needs on the field. And look at this, he's even going for carriers as well. He's got 3 carriers and a mothership warping out of his mothership core. There is the mothership. Oh my goodness, this is going to be an absolutely crazy game. And Avilo now bringing over a command center to land down at the potential 4. The Tempests have revealed themselves, though, and Avilo has only got Widow Mines to deal with this. He is producing Vikings right now, but there are Blinkstalkers here, and with the Tempests and their insane range, it's very hard for those Vikings to get close enough to do the damage they need to do. And I think right now Avilo is going to have to rely entirely on his Widow Mines to take out these Tempests. Meanwhile, the Stalker's going after a random planetary fortress in the middle that will go down. And now the Widow Mines are going to try to get underneath the Tempest. And WhiteRa needs to pull the Tempest away. And he will get them out just right on time. As long as he can stay away from the limited range of the minefield, then he should be all right. He's now going to go to the right side and try to continue to pick off key buildings and structures and units. Doing a good job at that. Stalker's also going into the right, and now he's got to be careful. Those Widow Mines are getting quite close. Avilo going to burrow some of them, and then going to bring the rest underneath the Tempest, and able to take out some of the Tempest. Just one, actually. But that's always a good trade. I mean, the Tempest costs at least 5 times as much as a mine does, and it looks like the Vikings are continuing to give pursuit to these Tempests. And this is just an action-packed game thus far. One important thing to note, and I actually read this on the community forums for the carrier, is it seems that the Interceptor can proc the Widow Mine's explosive attack. And if that's the case, then Widow Mines can actually deal a ton of friendly fire damage to the tank line, to the mech of Avilo, if the Interceptors happen to cloud over the Terran player's army. And so, for that reason, you know, Tempest very good because mech has problems hitting air. Carrier's very good because they can force the Widow Mines into destroying the Terran player's army. So Avilo needs to be very careful about that. Now we do have these carriers coming in. 5 carriers revealing themselves on the planetary fortress. Now Avilo has a lot of anti-air here. He's got to be careful with those Widow Mines though. Gonna burrow them down, and will the mines detonate? They will actually detonate right here away from the tanks. Very lucky right there for Avilo. Another mine gonna detonate, dealing some friendly fire damage to the tanks, but nothing too serious. And now the mothership has been brought in, and it could hit Vortex. It will, sucking all those tanks into the black hole region, into the netherworld. And now Avilo left with just a sparse amount of his remaining army, and this is going to give WhiteRa enough time to dish out a lot of damage. He's got to be careful though. That mothership could go down. It's flying over the minefield, and the rest of the tanks have now come out. The mothership has dropped, and the Tempest and carriers are all that is left. Will Avilo have enough mines to take out this aerial assault from WhiteRa? It seems that the mines are just taking way too long to reload, and as a result, Avilo is taking some damage, but he's repairing the planetary fortress. Now the Stalkers have come in to provide additional firepower, and the Vikings overhead able to take out one of the carriers. Meanwhile, Tempest taking out the tanks to the right. We have additional reinforcements warping in on the right-hand side. WhiteRa really trying to press the issue right now to end the game, and he's doing a good job at that, but he loses another carrier. He's got to be careful with these Tempests. And he once again flies over those mines. Those mines have dished out an insane amount of damage, and Avilo's done a good job of keeping this planetary fortress repaired. And it looks like the mines unable to finish off the carriers. WhiteRa is just staying ever so close to the range, but just barely on its outskirts, and now that carrier will take some damage, but will not finish it off. These carriers are just built, they're built for tough, man. They're built quite sturdily, but meanwhile we do have some zealots harassing where the carriers might not be able to kill off that planetary. Ground troops may, and that orbital command is forced to lift off. WhiteRa playing just like a Zerg player would. He's expanding all over the map, currently at 6 bases total, and trying to finish off this planetary fortress, but it doesn't seem like he'll be able to. Now going to focus his efforts on the Viking, and the Viking goes down, and actually I think it got helped a little bit by that Widow Mine that detonated over the Interceptors. And it seems like the orbital command here did end up dropping, or perhaps it just floated away. Some zealots up in here as well. Oh, that Widow Mine almost finishing off the tanks, at least doing a lot of damage to that clump, and all of them dropping down to the orange. Now Avilo will need to bring out some SCVs on repair duty, and could this be the evolution of StarCraft 2 for Protoss versus Terran? If that's the case, I am all for it. This is just an insane play style by both players, very innovative, extremely aggressive to start the game off, and then the aggression continued all throughout. We can see how the Widow Mines are actually a very powerful unit here in PvT. In fact, they are detectors. When they are burrowed, they are able to catch invisible units, and so those observers also get picked off by the mines. And overall, just a very weird playstyle. You don't see the typical ground Protoss ball with Colossus because the mines are so deadly. It forces Protoss to go carriers. And just like the old days of PvT, carriers were the endgame for Protoss when they were looking to finish off the Terran player. Now we'll just have to see how this is going to play out. A lot of mines are burrowed down, those carriers are flying overhead, but the mines are going to detonate and kill off only interceptors. That has actually got to cost WhiteRa a little bit. Every time he loses clumps of interceptors like that, he has to rebuild them all. And they're not, well, they are cheap, but to rebuild all of them at once does cost a bit of money. And all the mines, killing off all the Vikings right there. Avilo just destroyed his Viking fleet with those Widow Mines, trying to bring the Widow Mines closer, but is unable to be successful there, as there are too many interceptors now, and a huge Protoss ball on the ground to back up the air at the same time. I think WhiteRa is going to take this game with a beautiful switch into an aerial assault. This is Protoss bombardment at its best, and Avilo unable to find an answer, struggling right now to figure out a way to stop this type of Protoss attack. He's trying to keep this planetary fortress alive. Will he be able to? It doesn't look like it. It's burning. It's on fire. Now the SCVs are also going down that are repairing it as well. The planetary fortress is barely hovering at 400 HP. The Stalker's coming in to provide additional firepower. The planetary fortress is going to drop. And now Avilo is in so much trouble, losing one of his critical bases. His other base down here is also under attack. So WhiteRa is just attacking the left and the right, building interceptors as much as he can to make up for the ones that have fallen. And it looks like Avilo is going to lose here. He's gotta hope that these mines detonate soon, but the timer takes way too long, and Avilo is forced to GG. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the craziest Protoss versus Terran games that I've had the pleasure of casting in a while, and that just shows the new abilities available in Heart of the Swarm and the place that the pro gamers are able and willing to take it is just completely beyond the realm of imagination. We see carriers coming in, and of course they're a great way to combat Widow Mines because, hey, let's be honest, do you want your mines detonating on the enemy Protoss, the real forces, or do you want them detonating on clumps of interceptors, which really isn't the most effective way to use the mine? Those mines are pretty pricey, and if they're just killing off interceptors, plus if they end up killing off your own units due to splash, that is not a very good way to combat obviously the carrier. And obviously for a Protoss player, the carrier suddenly makes the most sense in terms of a way to stop this new and potent Terran playstyle. This was just an amazing game, brought to you once again, guys, by WhiteRa and Avilo. Now, WhiteRa actually asked me to go ahead and plug his social networks here, so give me a second here to go ahead and list them off if you guys want. Do check out WhiteRa at WhiteRa SC at Twitter or Facebook. That is WhiteRa StarCraft, WhiteRa SC. And you guys can also check out WhiteRa's website at white-ra.com. That's white-ra.com. So if you guys enjoyed these games, do check me out. I'm at YouTube, of course, at HD StarCraft, Facebook and Twitter as well. I have a couple more WhiteRa games. I have a couple of games from Champy, who's also a Protoss Grandmaster out in Australia. And so a lot of great high-level games I'll be bringing out to you guys in the next couple of days. I hope you guys enjoyed this cast. And this is HD StarCraft, signing out.